You know, it's funny how often I forget that there are regular movies on Netflix. You know, you're still used to seeing their original content or various TV shows, either theirs or just, well-known ones that are easy to binge. It's funny how often just regular movies tend to get suppressed on like the front page or the first couple lines of the platform. So lately I've been going to the movie page of Netflix to find stuff that I've never seen before. One that I came across was Public Enemies, starring Johnny Depp and Christian Bale. The film chronicles the last few years of John Dillinger's life. Spoiler alert. He was a very famous bank robber, played by Johnny Depp, and Christian Bale plays the FBI agent who is tasked with tracking him down. It was a good movie overall. A couple of surprising faces in it. Channing Tatum is in it for a minute before he gets shot. In fact, I didn't realize that it was Channing Tatum until after he got shot. Another spoiler alert. The part that I found interesting was occasionally just the footage looked eerily smooth. Now it's weird because it's set during the Great Depression, and you're used to movies set in that time period as trying to look like they're evoking almost film style of that period. You know, like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But this one felt very sharp and smooth. So much so that sometimes it looked like it was being shot like on an iPhone. But the movie's, from like 2007. I googled the movie, wondering about the cinematography, and sure enough, it was by a cinematographer who is credited with being sort of an early adopter of high-definition digital video instead of using 35mm film. It doesn't look as good as 35mm film. It looks like the way just a very high-end $2,000 camcorder might look in some spots. But it is really cool in that because it's so clear and smooth, and the way that it's being positioned and shot, it almost looks like a documentary sometimes. They use a lot of handheld camera. It feels like it's like peeking in on situations. Not all the time. Sometimes it just looks like a normal movie. Scenes where all of the cops are discussing what their next move is going to be, or when the bank robbers are planning things or executing things, it feels like the cameraman is acting like he is there actually in the situation, and he's trying to not be seen or not get hit by gunfire. It's just an interesting thing that then made me think about how come we've never seen a false documentary that wasn't parody. It's not like Best in Show, Spinal Tap, American Vandal, which are all fantastic. But what if you shot a historical crucial events as they're happening, like Tiger King or Making a Murderer? But what if you did that with a historical story that you wanted to tell? You said something in the 1930s or like the Civil War, and you could have this weird mix of historical realism, as if the events are actually taking place and that the film crew is actually there, and even have like talking head interviews and format it just like a documentary, and yet the subjects make no recognition of the camera equipment or the crew. Treat them as if they somehow fit in that world, in that time period, even though obviously they don't. It's something that I don't think I've ever seen tried before, because you would still be telling a true story, but you're just telling a true story that couldn't have been told in film at the time. So back to Public Enemies. The movie was fine. The action sequences, the gunfights and things like that are really cool, loud, energetic, and yet grounded. You know what's happening at any given moment. But I will say that I got lost in what was happening plot-wise. Basically, the movie just keeps repeating this little cycle of Christian Bale gets close to catching Dillinger, and Dillinger gets away. Christian Bale catches up with him, gets away. Gets up, gets away, until, he doesn't get away. And I kept getting kind of lost in like how they were actually finding him again each time. Maybe I was just zoning out, probably because I was just thinking about how the movie was made rather than actually just staying in the story. But that's kind of a general problem that I always have with movies. I think it's worth seeing. It's not one that you have to see. It's just fun to watch movies and to talk about them afterwards.